Sometimes I think the reason students may fear or just not want to deal with fractions are because sometimes our operations, our multiplying, our adding, our subtracting, our dividing, is sometimes those rules that we have to follow. When do we have to get a common denominator? When do we use a reciprocal? It's sometimes those rules that we have to follow that make it seem more intimidating because we don't remember which rules are at which times. Well, let's look at two fractions and let's multiply. Let's say we had 1/3 times 1/4. Now, the temptation is going to be, especially when we look at things like 1/2 or 3/4, ones that we're used to, we would say, oh, well, this is just 0.25. And this is, here's why we don't ever want to deal with decimals. No decimals ever, because decimals can even be more complicated. When talking about the rules, even though it's something that like we can plug into a calculator or something like that, they get a lot worse dealing with them because this 1/3 is 0.33333. Even if we were to call it 0.3, even if we were to call it 0.333, as many places we want to try rounding that to, we are still rounding. We are still cutting off that fraction. And once we cut it off, once we round it, there's never going back to the exact number. Whereas when we deal with these as fractions, we always have the exact value. Multiplying fractions, think of this as the easy one. This is straight across, top times top, bottom times bottom. And then you reduce. In this case, it is as easy as multiply. 1 times 1 is 1, multiply. 3 times 4 is 12. 1/12 would be those two fractions multiplied. Multiplying is the easy one. And again, avoiding decimals altogether. What if we had 2/3 times 3/5? You would look at that and you would say, whoa, what if I take that? Taking those as decimals is even worse. 0.6, 0.6666. But again, anytime we round, we're off. Multiplying, super simple. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 5 is 15. There's our product. That's what happens when we multiply. But remember, as soon as we have this as a fraction, when we keep this in fraction form, another reason we avoid decimals is we can reduce that much easier. We look for what's the number that goes into both 6 and 15? Divide by 3, divide by 3, right? They're both divisible by 3. What's 6 divided by 3? 2. What's 15 divided by 3? 5ths. 2/5. Now, you may know other rules, other shortcuts, ways of cross reducing. I try to avoid those because, again, with fractions, the more rules we add, the easier it can be to try and confuse when do I apply this rule or that rule. Always think of this as multiplying is the easy one. Top times top, bottom times bottom. Reduce as needed. Mixed number as needed. You may go back to some of those other forms, but again, multiplying is the easy one straight across. It's our next rules, our next operations where we're going to have to remember additional rules. There are enough rules to memorize. I try to avoid those things like cross reducing ahead of time. Multiplying, easy. Top times top, bottom times bottom.